And so for Sunisa to have this, it's almost like that's not, they don't have to focus on the stories of pain anymore. Those still always will be there, but...
Sorry, pause. It almost sounds conservative when you can look into the past and the pain but still overcoming it versus what the left likes to do, which is just focus on it, amplify it, and live in pain but never grow from it. So, I don't know. Are y'all getting red pill here?
As a Hmong American, which I guess in a way, if she was still in Asia, like, she might not even get this opportunity to compete in the Olympics because Hmongs don't have a nation to compete in the Olympics,
and I
right?
think that
Excellent point. So, America's that great that you can be a minority of an Asian American country, or sorry, Asian country, Asian ethnicity, and represent America and live up to the potential and overcome it, exceed it, be at the excellent. And it's not about your person, it's not about your identity, it's about your merit, it's about your excellence, it's about your grit of working hard and getting to it, right? And so, yeah, again, really base talking points here. And so, like, are we like, are we hashtag walk away? Are we walk awaysian now? Like, what are we talking here? Hey yo, what's up you guys? So I'm coming to you with another video, and again we are talking about the Olympics, this time coming from the Fung Brothers, talking about Sunisa Lee, talking about Asian Americans in the Olympics, winning the medals, and yeah, shall we begin? But first, of course, if you're new to my channel, what is up? My name is Mitch, Maverick Mitch. Hey Mitch, all the Mitches, and pretty much I like talking about what I talk about. So, current events, reviews, pop culture within the scope of entertainment, culture, and purpose. So, TV, movie reviews, social political commentary. Be sure to check out all those videos as you're finishing this video. Alright, so getting into it, again, this is coming from the Fung Brothers. They're talking about some commentary that's going on, current events. In this case, Sunisa Lee, a Hmong American, Asian American in the Olympics, winning gold and everything, and winning silver and bronze on that attitude. But, you know, I think they want to go into this, and I want to hear what they have to say, and this is going to be a 20-minute video already, so I'm probably going to make cuts in this throughout this whole thing. So, if I do make cuts, make sure to check out the whole video. I'll link it in the description. So yeah. Already I kind of understand why the Fung Brothers chose this topic to talk about, right? Because Sunisa Lee is Hmong, and Hmong Americans, Asian Americans ain't really talking a whole lot. And so this is creating raves, you know? And so it is something to highlight and something to showcase and everything. I do want to listen to what they gotta say. But on that note, I do want to highlight, and I haven't heard anyone really talk about it, but I knew about this, but I want to talk about Yul Moldauer, Asian American, Korean American, who was adopted by Americans. But, you know, he is a male gymnast. Unfortunately, he didn't place in any of the podiums, but what I am digging and what I am loving is his energy. It is like, when I see it, it's something that I do, something John Doyle does. It's the whole like, let's go, you know, and I love his energy, so I'll play some clips of that real quick.
Twist at the end, really challenging to stick, but remember, this is Yul Moldauer.
There you go.
The real Yul Moldauer. Do you have enough juice at the end of this routine? And he does. Another big one for Yul. Here comes a celebration. Enough for him to punch his ticket to Tokyo. You see that? He opens his hands, and he does that to show the judges that his wrists are not on the ring. It would shorten his arm and make the strength skill so much harder. He does that as well as anybody in the world. That it's called a whip it right to a cross. It's so hard to land exactly in the cross, and he does it great. He's a sticking machine, this guy.
And that's what we're going to see all night long from him.
Wait for it.
Once again, this routine would not necessarily count.
He's there.
That 14 would not necessarily count for that team finals, but the score that he needs could secure him in that second place finish.
There you
which
go.
would lock.
Alright, with that said, let's go into video and talk some more.
David, this is not some crazy, rich, whiny Asian story. This is a crazy, talented, underrepresented refugee Asian story.
And let me tell you this, Sunisa Lee's gold medal means so much to Asian America more than any script, TV show, or movie, because this was not some Hollywood fake shit. This was real life global stage.
Welcome everybody to the Hot Pot Boys. Andrew and David here. Something big that we got to talk about. Sunisa Lee, a Hmong American from St. Paul, Minnesota, has just won the gold medal in what is considered the top event of the entire Olympics.
This is setting the internet on fire, specifically the Asian internet.
Right.
I think that, you know, the mainstream people, they are covering it, but they're almost more caught up in the Simone Biles sort of like white-black binary, you know, debate. You know, obviously African Americans more supporting Simone, and white Americans, I guess, I'm just painting everybody in generalizations right now, going against her for quitting. I actually don't see that discussion happening in the Asian American community. We're more celebrating Sunisa.
Yeah, and so there's so many different layers to this. You could say, oh, she's just an American girl from Minnesota. That's great. She won the gold. But actually, her being Hmong is huge to this. So let's talk about what it means to the Hmong community specifically, what it means to larger Southeast Asian community, because that's where the Hmongs are from, and then what it means to Asian America and what it even means to America. So we're going to pull it from micro to macro.
So just also real quick, before they get into it, and obviously this is leading to what I thought they're gonna do, right? And so with the Simone Biles, I have thoughts about it. Not too bad. I mean, like, if she wants to deal with, she wants to deal with. Obviously, that's cool. I felt maybe I had conversations without this just real quick, like, in a way, and I don't know to base this off anything, but like, I just feel like the word mental issues has been brought into the limelight a lot, and I feel like as a cop-out, like, you as an athlete, you can have a bad day and just say have a bad day, and I felt like it was a crutch. Not to say that was the case, right? I don't have anything to judge that upon, you know, that's just an observation, listening to other people, like, hey, you know what, like, if you did bad and you are a perfectionist, you are allowed to say, like, yo, I'm not in my A game. You can say that without saying mental issue, right? Because I feel like people use that as a crutch, use that a lot just as a talking point, kind of like catch all, just so that people can sympathize with her. Because she probably, and you know what, again, giving her the benefit of the doubt, maybe there is something going on with her life that she has that. But anyway, I digress. I agree with what they're saying here, like, the Asian American community, that is not as a whole, sure, there's conversations here and there, but as a whole, we're more focused on Sunisa Lee, which, by the way, thank you, Simone, for stepping down, because this allowed Sunisa to, like, get on the podium, right? And so, like, yay!
Micro to macro, let's do it.
All
I
right.
think on a Hmong American level, they haven't had a lot of positive representation on this level, like a real champion. I know that Brenda Song is Hmong. She played a lot of Chinese characters. Obviously, Gran Torino was, I guess, more negative because it was talking about the refugee hood, I guess, gang aspect of that experience. Yeah. But I think Sunisa's story is, like, amazing. It's very 2021. The parents are still, you know, refugees. They built her makeshift gymnastics equipment. The father had a tragic ladder accident and is paralyzed from the chest down. In just a few days before she went to go to nationals, she won nationals. She's a world champion, and then finally she becomes a global champion.
And by the way, real quick, I mean, when we're talking about the Hmong community, for a lot of people who are out there and that are not familiar, even a lot of Asians in America are not familiar with Hmongs. We're familiar because we grew up in south side of Seattle around Hmong, Mien, and Cham people. These are groups of Southeast Asian people that do not have countries. They don't have a set nation.
And I think that more people are kind of getting exposed to that idea nowadays. Even smaller countries like Laos, Vietnam, they have, like, ethnic minorities.
Right.
It's not just one group, you know what I mean? And obviously, Hmong people, they have a history originally from what is now modern-day Yunnan, China, by the Yellow River, and then the Han came down from the north, chased them out, unfortunately. I mean, not that I can apologize on behalf of anybody, but let me apologize.
Yes, those colonizing Chinese people. Like, I just, sorry, I want to play that as tongue-in-cheek, because when we talk about colonizers, when we talk about oppression and settlers from another countries, we don't talk about how, like, Mongolians colonized most of Asia into the Eastern European countries. You don't talk about that. That's not under conversation. It's always about Western civilization. And so let's just play a good point on there. So yeah.
For what it's worth.
For what it's worth,
it doesn't.
yeah, it doesn't mean much, but my bad, or our bad. But I guess basically they got chased into Southeast Asia, and they've been existing as the non-dominant group in Laos, Vietnam, and still to this day in China.
And they have a similar story to a lot of other Southeast Asian refugees with the Vietnam War. It's a very tumultuous history, a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, a lot of death from their history. And then they made it to America.
Yeah, I mean, even America kind of gave them up after the Secret War. I mean, I don't want to get into that stuff, but this all provides a backdrop for how amazing it is. And, you know, this group has had decades and decades, or maybe you could argue even centuries of pain, the Hmong people. Yeah. And so for Sunisa to have this, it's almost like that's not, they don't have to focus on the stories of pain anymore. Those still always will be there, but...
Sorry, pause. That sounds, it almost sounds conservative when you can look into the past and the pain, but still overcoming it, versus what the left likes to do, which is just focus on it, amplify it, and live in pain, but never grow from it. So, I don't know. Are y'all getting red pill here?
This can transcend that.
I mean,
that's beautiful, and they needed that, and I'm so happy for them as the Hmong American community.
The Hmong American community is one of those underrepresented Asian groups that needs the disaggregation of data, because basically they don't fall in line with the overall like model minority myth narrative. Basically of Asians being all well-to-do, super educated, super like hooty-toot, like that. They don't. That's the other side. They're the Southeast Asian side in general. This is it. And not only that, it's that I think it's interesting that she's Hmong because, you know, she's won the gold in Tokyo, which if you think about Japanese as the, like, I guess most like well-known elite advanced Asian, right? And that is the most advanced like city in the world, Tokyo, right? But she's coming there as a Hmong American, which I guess in a way, if she was still in Asia, like, she might not even get this opportunity to compete in the Olympics because Hmongs don't have a nation to compete in the Olympics,
and I
right?
think that
Excellent point. So, America's that great that you can be a minority of an Asian American country, or sorry, Asian country, Asian ethnicity, and represent America and live up to the potential and overcome it, exceed it, be at the excellent. And it's not about your person, it's not about your identity, it's about your merit, it's about your excellence, it's about your grit of working hard and getting to it, right? And so, yeah, again, really base talking points here. And so, like, are we like, are we hashtag walk away? Are we walk awaysian now? Like, what are we talking here?
That speaks to the beauty of America, and I think there's so many think pieces. They're gonna try to dissect it because it's like there's so many angles to it, pros and cons. This story is only possible in America, but you could also say that America also, you know, has a very, you know, tumultuous relationship with the Hmong people. And, you know, I'm just so happy that it's going up.
Yeah.
Because Sunisa Lee has her own day in Minnesota now. They can just focus on this. They can build on this positivity. And, you know, the people in St. Paul, maybe they didn't always accept the Hmong people, but now they have a champion. They gave America a champion. They gave Minnesota a champion.
By the way, this does not mean, like, racism in Minnesota is going to stop against Asians or anything like that. Of course, you know, we know that media representation is super, super important, but it can't change everything. But it just changes everybody a little bit. That's what media does. It just hits you a little bit, you know, and that's why it's important. And that's why it's important to say she's Hmong American too, because it's just it's an underrepresented group of an underrepresented group.
Right. Shout out to the Moob. The Moob. I believe that's how they refer to it.
They have sayings within the Hmong community that I read about where it's like, Hmong must love Hmong because who else will love Hmong? And that's like
because
man,
they've been ostracized in a lot of the lands that they their homelands.
I'm not gonna lie, when I heard the quote, I was like, whoa. That's heavy.
Man, I'm so happy for Hmong people. I know they've been through a lot, and obviously I can't fully speak to it, not being part of that group. But you know, I know a lot of Hmong people. We filmed a Hmong food episode that went pretty viral before, and man, media representation. I will say this: as much as this is like, I think a lot of people always go to TV shows and movie roles and all these careers and associations with white people. Sunisa Lee just came up from the dirt and just came in the game and took it over. Yeah. She doesn't have a gatekeeper and her exec give her the okay. It's a meritocracy in sports. And it reminds me a lot of when Jalen came in and started dropping 25 a game straight off the rip. And it's like, that's why I value sports so much. And sports is media representation too, because at the end of the day, sports is still entertainment and media and it affects representation. So, hey man, so happy for Sunisa Lee and the Hmong community. Yeah. You know what, Andrew? I gotta say, it made me want to announce.
Would say it.
We might be part Hmong.
Okay, all right. We might be like, I think 1%.
I believe we are 1% Hmong.
We did the DNA test and we plugged it into some other data and it got really specific on the tribe that our like 3% Southeast Asian side is from, probably from our Cantonese father who's Southern Chinese, right? Yeah, I mean it's close to there.
Hey, I'm not jacking it just to just because I'm not clout chasing. But I just wanted to say that the funny thing is it's like that's notable. It felt like an apt time to just bring that up.
Hey, listen, I know so many Hmong people that for the longest time they were like, yo guys, I've been trying to explain what Hmong is to people. And we try to do our part, with our platform as well. And it was so hard because they're really like it wasn't that much to work off of, but when you have a star from your community, and this is why fortunately and unfortunately, stars are important. You need these high achievers to come from your community and shed light on your identity, and you get to speak up about it. Every identity, not just Asians or not just colored people, every identity has gone through some version of this where you have to have that famous person come out and speak up. And what I love about Sunisa, shout out to her, she is unapologetic. She says stuff that's on the top of her mind. She's an 18-year-old. She's from Minnesota. She don't care.
She know all the TikTok dances, I don't know, I didn't see, but like, I'm sure she can, I'm a savage. She is a savage. And, I love that. I think that, to speak to one more, I guess to get more macro about Southeast Asians, I love how authentic and organic they are. To be honest, I do think, and I'm not trying to make a split here, I'm just making observations. A lot of the East Asians in media, which are from Japan, Korea, China, they're from very preppy boarding school backgrounds or elite private schools, at least the ones in media. Obviously, we didn't go to one, we're East Asian, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, a lot of the
people in media is from very bougie backgrounds. So why are we surprised that they do bougie things once they get even more richer off being in movies and media and getting in that like silo? Mm-hmm. Like to me, I'm not against
in gymnastics, which is not like it's not basketball or one of those sports that is played. It's not a team sport. It's not played like in the hood. Really, gymnastics is like Gymnastics is in a way, like for her to change her family narrative, right? Her excelling at gymnastics and basically now going to college with the new collegiate rules where she can monetize even during college. Like she has basically changed her entire family narrative and possibly impacted the community as well. And I think that when you come from such a tight-knit, small community, it really impacts it and the ripple effects are crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we just had Raya drop and, I think this is going to really shine a spotlight on Southeast Asians.
Yeah,
and
they deserve it.
I think they have such interesting personalities, and to be honest, generally to me, far more interesting than East Asian personalities.
Honestly,
because they can do the dances. They can do the "I'm the Savage" dance. A lot of East Asians can't do that, or they're not into it.
We always said that the Southeast Asians, they got the most interesting stories. When you talk about stories from Asia or which stories should get made into movies or which ones should get scripts written about them, the Southeast Asian ones are the most craziest.
Yeah, I'm not like Tiger Tail and Farewell.
Shout out.
I understood those movies very deeply to my family's experience because I was like, it's kind of like that. But somebody got to tell the Southeast Asian story, and not Gran Torino too. Yeah. Like I'm talking about in a more dope, positive texture,
Exactly. I just like that they're getting the spotlight and people are thinking. You know what's crazy is that she is not just making America think more about Hmong people. She is making the globe acknowledge Hmong people. Think about it. Like I said, people don't even speak English from Denmark, Japan, or wherever else. Like, well, they speak English in Australia, of course. But I was like, they're thinking about what Hmong people are right now. They're seeing these headlines, being like, "What is this HMONG?" Like, okay, let me just Google this. You know, I mean, I started. You know, we've had Hmong food before. Once doing a video out in LA about Hmong food, and since then I was yelping Hmong food in St. Paul, Minnesota, because I was like, yo, if we go out there, these are the spots we're hitting.
I'm trying to get the boiled chicken and cabbage.
Yeah, they got the stuffed chicken wings and the sausages and all that. Anyways, what do you
we're Chinese, which is more of a pan-Asian Asian. You know what I mean? Like, I guess like a lot of Asians are related to, like, in some way historically to being Chinese or whatever like that. If you really analyze it, but like, I always cared about the whole thing. I cared about everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I always want to see everybody do good, and that's why I'm so happy for it.
I'm going to say this. It is time right now that the larger East Asian community, the people who have been dominating the Asian narrative, the crazy rich Asians, the everything like that, and
like the CEOs
it is time.
And Twitch, who are mostly Asian, East Asian, they need to cut Sunisa a check to start streaming or something like that.
It is time that the larger East Asian community show the Southeast Asian community props. Okay, because Sunisa Lee.
Sorry, as I listen to this, and like, yo, the East Asians should give props to the Southeast Asians, and then the South Asians, like, that guy, like, what about us?
Lee just did something as a Southeast Asian that no East Asian has done.
Or any Asian, yeah.
They have never won a gold in this position, in this event, ever. So that's why East Asians need to be like, listen, I know that we've been pushing K-pop or Chinese food or Japanese anime, all this stuff on you guys, and like, we've all been proud of it, and everybody's been looking at us this whole time. But you know what? Let's shed some light on you guys. It's your time.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of trillion-billion-dollar companies in East Asia. Cut Sunisa a check, man. She deserves an endorsement deal, Zach, for what a big check. And yeah, and I just think that, for me, on a larger scale, I don't know if America knew how to handle it. Like, on an America scale, let's just bring it to the ultra macro in terms of a national level. I think that if you look at it, for the longest time, you know, you had Carrie Strug, you had this girl, that girl, they're all white, and then it turned into Gabby Douglas, and then it turned into Simone Biles, and now it's like every face of USA Gymnastics that's representing USA on a global stage is not white.
Well, the last three, yeah.
Yeah.
And it may... I don't know. I mean,
they don't even have white names. Like, Simone Biles is not a white name, and I would not say that.
Well, even one of the last American ones wasn't white before, right after Strauss. She was Russian-born.
Oh, okay.
Right? So it's yeah. So anyways, but yeah, I think that, what does it mean to America that the face of American gymnastics is now an Asian girl? Does it mean anything? Does it shock them? Or are they kind of like, it's gymnastics, we only care about it once every 4 years anyways, guys. But I'm like, this is, I mean, you know, like we said, it's crazy for the Asian community. But yeah, for the non-Asian communities in America, it's less of a huge thing.
So, just real quick on that question, I think we care, but we don't care, right? Especially if you're gonna look into conservative circles, obviously we give props to whatever, like, obviously, awesome, Asian American, you're doing your thing. We care about your values. We don't care about your identity, right? So, like, we care that you represent the US, you represent the US proudly, and then anything that you do is on your individual talent and skills and abilities. So we will give props to you, because if you're the best at your craft, you're the best at the craft, despite your identity. So
it's a smaller deal.
I think that it doesn't fit back to the Simone Biles discussion, and I got a lot of love for her. I'm like, I don't even know. I think she should just go take care of herself. That's my honest opinion. She already won mad
She
goals.
did what she needed to do, by the way.
And, you know, they have, like, backups there for that reason. So, if anything, she was just giving the backup a chance to shine. Like, they got fill-ins. They bring fill-ins on the team just in case that happens. So, to me, I just think that, like, it gives America a chance to get out of this, like, binary where everything is white versus black, where everything is, like, essentially has roots back to deep, deep history. and it's like we just it just offers a reprieve from that. Some people are gonna.
Just also on that note, real quick, for many of the conservatives, so people who are not invested in identity politics, we don't care. We never, like the whole black-white versus thing. That's a left thing. That's a left focus. We don't care. We just care about your values. We care about that you care about this country and you want to see this country succeed. The end. Period.
Take it as a nice reprieve, and some people aren't going to lean into it. Some people are going to be like, Asian girl won, doesn't fit into my political narrative that I wanted to have, so I'll just give a quick, thumbs up and just move on.
Yeah, you know why the larger Asian American community needs this right now? Because a lot of people, for right or wrong reasons, and we know that they're kind of painting us with a broad brush, don't respect the larger Asian narrative because they feel like we don't struggle enough. And Southeast Asians, they go through it. And if not for any other reason, you gotta respect it because it's basically making people respect Asians more. Right? By showing that story that Sunisa Lee went through, her dad, paralyzed, couldn't afford the little balance beam. He built it for her. She wins gold. She wants to just be like a regular college student now. And I'm like, that is a powerful story. That story needs to be out there. And that's one of the reasons why we're talking about it. Because we understand what is important to not just America, not just to Asian America, but to certain Asian groups. And in a way, East Asians, for right or for wrong, like I said, they get painted as like all like privileged kids, which is not true, but that's how it is in media. And now you have this other side of Asia that is getting more recognition.
When we say privilege, we're talking about, Andrew Yang, Michelle Wee, Chloe Kim.
First of all, which are all great
pretty
people.
long list,
Yo, and I mean,
even Jeremy Lin came from a pretty good background, to be honest, straight up.
I mean.
Alright, so wrapping up, final thoughts. I agree everything that David and Andrew said about everything that they just said, right? And so there wasn't anything here that I disagreed with. Everything talking about like shedding light to the Asian Americans, Southeast Asian Americans in the broader light and all that stuff. That's all great. I think if anything, I were to lean towards the conversation towards identity politics, right? And just real quick, for me, the identity politics for the left is just putting yourself in a box, putting yourself in a label. Either you're black, white, straight, whatever, gay, all this, Asian, and then you have to vote up according to that box, right? Joe Biden, you're like, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black type thing, right? So it's that focus, honed down, and all this stuff. And it's because I have seen other people talk about this, like the Asian, Korean conservative and other Asian Americans and even black, Latino and all this stuff. When people have brought this up, like I have seen other people say like, well, people on the right, conservatives, libertarians use the same thing. They're like, oh, I'm the Asian conservative, I am the Korean conservative and all this stuff, and they blame that they use that as a cloud of identity politics. And I agree to disagree on that because when it's an identifier, right? That's the Venn diagram. They use like the Korean conservative, that is an identifier. I'm Korean, but I'm also conservative. But instead of identity politics, this is where they differ. The Korean conservative and other people like that, Latino, Black, Blexit, and all this stuff, it's an identifier, but they don't want to vote as the monolith, right? They are saying that as an indicator, like, hey, I'm part of this group, but I'm not part of the monolith, right? It's just an indicator, right? So, and especially the idea is that they're not using Korean, Black, Latino, whatever, as a negative, as a form of victimhood, whereas someone that would be identity politics on the left would, like, I am a woman, I am oppressed, I am disadvantaged because I'm a woman, I'm black, I'm trans, I'm all this, and like, listen to me, I am this. Also, they speak from a level of authority. So if you are black on the left, if you are Latino, if you're Asian on the left, you're the only person that can speak about it, right? Like, that's something that they always say, like, oh, you're not about this community, you can't speak for us type thing. And so, like, you have to speak from the experience. And so, whereas anyone on the right can kind of like really talk about anything. So, yeah, I kind of went to like a really quick rant about that because I hear that conversation a lot, like especially from conservatives and people on the right, libertarians and all this stuff, when people say like, I'm Filipino conservative, whatever, or Asian American conservative, or whatever conservative, right, or whatever libertarian, whatever, and blank whatever, you know. And so it's less about identity politics as a negative in the sense that it is victimhood. It's just an identifier, not identity politics, I guess. So I don't know, maybe I explained that right. I don't know, that's how I feel about it. So again, great conversations here. I'm hoping to see that they are going to do a lot more of these current events, social political commentary type of thing, or just cultural commentary, social commentary, so I can do more videos on this. So comment below, tell me what you think, and see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. You can follow me on my Instagram at HeyMitchMitch. I'm probably gonna make a TikTok just because I want to get into the culture of it, not because I want to. I just want to be where the people are, right? So that because there are other conservatives and other libertarians on it, and so we have to be in their spaces, right? We have to take space, right? And so awesome. Okay, thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Peace, peace, peace. Be with you.